Good morning to everybody. We're back. It is Saturday morning. We're at Baltimore Firehouse Expo. We've had a whole week here of interesting visits with our vendors. We brought you to the booths. We brought people here in the studio. We've given you classes. We've given you all sorts of fun. So this morning, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to get you over to the Total Fire booth. We're going to look at some turnout gear, some gloves, some hoods, all sorts of great PPE. And from there, we're going to wrap up the show. So thanks for joining us for these 3 days. From Firematic TV, I'm Tom Ruth here.
Thanks, Tom. I want to tell you a little bit about our super gloves. Super gloves are a relatively new concept in firefighter gloves because they have three-dimensional construction. What I mean by that is that as opposed to two-dimensional fingers, which have just a top and a bottom and come to a point at the end where everything gets sewn together, creating some dead space in there, what we have in a three-dimensional glove is the ability to get your fingers all the way right up in there to the end. You don't have all that dead space there. The other thing that we've introduced in the super glove is the first all kangaroo glove. What kangaroo leather does for the super glove that traditional leathers don't do is, number one, it allows us to go thinner. Kangaroo leather is very, very strong. What it does is, what causes that rather, is that you have a hide that comes in and all of the fibers in kangaroo are parallel with the surface. So when you split off the thickness that you want to use, none of the fibers have been cut. There are fewer of them, but they have not been cut, so it maintains strength. The other aspect of kangaroo leather is that it really doesn't soak up much water, to the point that you can squeeze. We never recommend wringing a glove, but if you just squeeze excess moisture out when you think it's saturated and put it down, you come back and just from air drying in 24 hours it's dry to the touch already. Try doing that with the traditional elk, cow, pig leathers in gloves. The three-dimensional construction of the super glove, again, these fingers have sides, allows you to go all the way into the glove, right in there, all the way to the fingertips, wet or dry. Your hands are wet, you've tried that before, you know what that's like. In this glove, it's that simple and you're on. The dexterity is there from the thinness. Now, of course, with thinness, you've got to worry about, well, what if it gets slashed? That's why we've got 35% Kevlar in our Kevlar Nomex lining material. And for moisture and bloodborne pathogen resistance, we've got a Cross-Tech moisture barrier in all of them. Available in 14 distinct sizes. That's something else that's pretty much unique. Can I take one of your literature? Sure. Thank you. Sure. What we have here is 7 standard sizes up here, and then the same sizes, what we call cadets, with half-inch shorter fingers. The half-inch shorter fingers come in when you've got big burly guys with squatty little fingers that need them, and also for the ladies and just people with small hands. That's where those come in. And here's a neat feature for you. This little tuck right here, this fold on the back of the glove, when you bend your fingers, note the insulation on the back of the glove is not compressing like it does with all other gloves. So the guy on the end of the nozzle is going to appreciate that one. One last word on the super gloves. The super gloves are also available in a knit wrist configuration. That not only adds 3 more certifications, 2 of the USAR 1951s and a 1999 certification, but it can be worn in a little unique way. Unlike a knit wrist, a standard knit wrist, this little wristlet can be worn like that, or it can be worn as a gauntlet. When you wear it like this, your thumb hole knit wrist in your coat won't interfere with it, and what you gain is this seal right here that you don't have in a traditional gauntlet glove. So there's 2 ways to think about it. You can go either way, whatever your preference is. Let me tell you a little bit about the new hoods we have. We call them our super hoods. The super hoods answer a number of questions about hoods. There hasn't really been a complete update in hoods in a long time, and we've got some pretty neat ideas here. Generally speaking, in hoods, what you have is materials that stretch one direction and not in the other direction. We've used that to our advantage in hoods, all hood manufacturers have, because you want stretch front to back, so that when you pull this hood on, it's seating against your mask. You do not want stretch in this direction, because when you pull it down into your coat, you don't want it attempting to pull back out of your coat. The problem, however, with one-way stretch materials is when you try to cover a round head with them, it doesn't stretch in all directions, so you get an ill-fitting hood. Everybody's familiar with the wavy, Gumby kind of look on the top of the head, and if one of those gets caught inside, one of those folds gets caught under the helmet suspension, it's uncomfortable, etc. This is the first hood to address that. What we've done here is we've taken a circular piece of the material and cut it out and reinserted it at a 90-degree turn. What that gives us is the only hood on the market that stretches in this direction and stretches in this direction. So it therefore fits better than any other hood on the market. This is not a hood that you need to pull on and play around trying to get it centered and whatever. You pull it on and it fits just like that. In addition to that, what we've done on the super hoods is we've put our 17.5-inch face opening on there, large enough to accommodate any mask, and pops right back into position. You don't have to wait, you don't have to anything, it's right there. An anti-roll feature on the back bib stops this from rolling up. It stays in place. And last but not least, we've got on the super hoods, no matter what your outer material is, we've got an inner layer of Nomex lensing. It wicks water better, it breathes better, and it actually increases the TPP to a point higher than 2 layers of the outer shell material. The only exception to that is the PBI, which 2 layers of PBI will just beat this out by a bit, the 1-layer PBI and the Nomex lensing version. So what you have in a super hood is all the features I just pointed out at approximately the same price as a hood that you may be buying from some other source that doesn't have any of those features. So it's a good value and something you should take a look at. Also available in ventilated if you'd like the ventilated top. All the super hoods come either way.